Welcome, friends, to September's ZOOMformation call. We have a great show for you today, and we really appreciate you all being here. A big thanks to Art and his team, of course, for pulling the show together, and thanks for all your positive comments that we've had on the format, not least the Zoom breakout rooms at the end of the call. That gives us all a chance to network and get together with new and old friends. Firstly, however, I want to welcome all of our special guests today, including those involved in today's program and special attendees in the audience. I think we've got past RI President Barry and John Germ here, hopefully, and also some directors with us, past RI directors, Peter, John, Robin, David, hopefully. If not, I hope they're watching later. However, today, and I know I speak for all of us, I want to give a special mention to one of us, one of our own, who's rising to the highest office in our great organization, our very own past RI director and future RI president, Stephanie Yurchik. Let's give a round of applause to Stephanie. As I know she'll be watching later, she can't be with us today. She's attending a membership committee meeting in Evanston in preparation for her role, but she sends her very best and she said she'll watch the recording. So we send her love and congratulations. Stephanie, we are infinitely proud of you. Following Jennifer as only the second female Rotary International president in history, you're doing an amazing job. So on to today's program. And of course, this month we celebrate our basic education and literacy area of focus. And we have a number of great speakers on one of the most important areas of focus. As the ancient philosopher Confucius said, education breeds confidence, confidence breeds hope, and hope breeds peace. And there's never been a time that we'll need more education, hope, and peace. And I know our speakers today will illuminate this with their words to us. We also have a very special guest speaker with us today, both in support of our basic education and literacy theme and also as a taste of the amazing program we have lined up for you at the up-and-coming Zone Summit in Baltimore. And that's none other than Tendika Tutu. And forgive me, Tendika, for not trying to pronounce your surname. Some will do that far better later on in the show. This, of course, is Dr. Desmond Tutu's, the late Dr. Desmond Tutu's daughter. And nonetheless, welcome. And for those of you who are still interested in coming to Baltimore, please go to the Be More in Baltimore website and also the Zone website and register. We still have space for you. General Chair Cindy and her team have had the best event in the world planned for you. And I know on top of President Jen and all our wonderful presenters and Rotary VIPs, we also now have attending General Secretary John Huco, who has let us know that he wouldn't miss what we've got planned for the world. So he'll be there for the full summit. And the goal of it is to inspire, educate, and yes, entertain. And I look forward to us doing just that for all of you. So we have lots of things going on. In my life as director has continued to become even busier and more rewarding as I've become involved in running the running of Rotary International globally with my fellow board members, working closely with the General Secretariat and staff, as well as many of you. And your input and feedback is absolutely invaluable. So please keep it coming. And this weekend, for example, I had the pleasure of spending both Saturday and Sunday mornings listening to some of the brightest young minds on the planet, members of the Interact Advisory Panel, on which I serve as the board liaison. Their Vice Chair, Hannah Shin, will be one of our main stage speakers in Baltimore. And I can tell you, listening to their vision for Interact and the world gives me both confidence and hope that our future will be a positive and a peaceful one. I've also had the pleasure recently of working with Vice President, Rotary International Vice President Nikki Scott and General Secretary John Huco on helping to do the groundwork on Rotary taking a more regional approach, recognizing that one size does not fit all in our world. Building on the work that Barry, John, and their team did on shaping Rotary's future. And members of this team will now join Rotary's Strategic Planning Committee, so the lessons will not be lost and their work will act as a solid foundation for the more general push towards a regional Rotary approach this coming year and in the future. More of that to come on this important board priority. From a zone regional perspective, the Membership Action Plan, or MAP team, under the chairmanship of PDG Patrick Eakes, are maintaining and growing their plans and momentum with our monthly webinar sessions. The next in the series of which is titled Connect with Prospects. And this talks about a highly successful method of converting the prospects we identified in the first webinar into members. And that will be tonight at 5 p.m. There's still time to register at the link in the chat, so on the Zone's webpage. And tonight you'll find out more on how your districts and clubs can be eligible for the coveted Zone's Membership Action Plan Awards. And you'll also have a chance to chat with team members, including Mike and George, about this in one of today's breakout rooms. Everything we do in Rotary is dependent upon a strong, vibrant, growing membership. And the Membership Action Plan is designed to give our clubs the tools to deliver consistent, moderate year-on-year growth so that we can grow more and do more. Zones 33 and 34 really are leading the way in North America, and I'm proud to say that, with this audacious plan and the associated membership initiatives such as the Impact Club model, and this type of innovative companion club that's being chartered not only here in the US, but as far as well in the UK. And thanks to Patrick Longano for your excellent work in this area. On the foundation front, Trustee Barry and I, along with Rotary regional foundation leaders, also are making good progress at our first meeting of the Zones Foundation Action Plan. And we'll do a full report on that as we approach Foundation Month later in the year. And lastly, please humor me as at least a partial Englishman, but I'd like to pay our deep respects and give our Zones condolences to someone who led many parts of the world and many of the countries in my region and our zone with dignity, integrity, and compassion. And of course, passed away last week, Her Majesty the Queen. She wasn't a Rotarian, but she lived by many of the core values that we hold so dear. Now, King Charles III, we wish him luck in the future, is an honorary Rotarian, and we, of course, look forward to continuing our relationship with him as an organization and wish him well. It's a time that our world needs strong leaders who adhere to values similar to ours. So now back to the program, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce our first basic education and literacy presenter. Dalia El Albani graduated from John Handley High School this year and has long been involved with Rotary as a member and then secretary of her high school Interact Club. She is now a first-year student at Yale University, studying ethnic, racial, and migration studies with a focus on human rights issues in hope of pursuing journalism and law, and I'm sure she'll pursue those successfully. Dalia is a Rotary speech winner from District 7570, and she's here to tell us about this and the impact it's had on her life. Dalia, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dalia, as he just mentioned, and actually I will first present the speech from the contest. And it actually takes a slightly different take on basic education and literacy. So yeah, my boss dropped out in 5th grade to work a full-time at his uncle's pizzeria in New Jersey. Nearly 50 years later, he never went back to pursue even a high school degree. My boss now owns multiple businesses, makes 7 figures a year, and is one of the most educated individuals I know. And he yells a lot, but that must be the Italian in him. As an immigrant myself, whose parents migrated across continents for their children to access higher education, I inherently held the belief that a degree would define my intellectuality. Navigating through public school, it became evident how simple it is for students to manipulate the system into granting them straight A's. As many are only motivated by grades, or more likely petrified of a poor grade, there's little desire to truly fuel intellectual vitality. So, what does it mean to be truly educated? To be educated means to empower oneself by seizing any and all opportunities. While it is true that school is essential to educational growth, it is also true that education is as strong as the will of the student. With the power of the web containing extensive information on practically any topic, anyone is theoretically able to invest in their own cultivation. For example, my boss utilized influential people he grew up around to mentor him through the philosophy of business. Eventually, he saved enough to relocate to an area he saw as an opportunity, Winchester, Virginia, opened his own restaurant, Claudio's Pizzeria, and ultimately grew successful in achieving the life he envisioned. However, despite residing in the land of opportunity, inequality in opportunity has proven to be the most significant barrier to educational growth. Whether it be a difference in socioeconomic status, geographical location, or any other demographic obstruction, the institutional system is inherently unjust in its roots. We cannot expect equality in outcome without ensuring everyone has the resources and means to get there. Nonetheless, one concept holds true for everyone. Anyone can take advantage of even the smallest possibilities and empower themselves. Limited access to resources simply obliges one to be ingenious and ambitious. By ceasing comparison to others and what one does and does not have, and instead focusing on your own future, anyone can dedicate themselves to what they want to pursue. Millions of students at all levels of the education system fail to notice or seek out opportunities for themselves. A task as minuscule as joining a new club, attending a local workshop, or volunteering somewhere new can lead to unexpected outcomes and essential lessons. In doing so, you may meet new people, expanding your own sphere of influence. You may discover a new collaborative community that empowers you. And most importantly, you may build better relationships to cultivate a society of achievers. Whether your path is higher education, the trades, the military, or entrepreneurship, and fostering a successful business despite only a fifth grade education, there is no measurement for intellectuality. Don't fear taking new opportunities, but consider the Rotary four-way test as a basis for deciding if it is truly an investment in your future. Are you being truthful with yourself about your goals and passions and abilities? Is it an opportunity that is fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to not just you, but those around you? And remember that the greatest glory is due not the naturally gifted, but the hardest working and most earnest. To truly be educated, one must transfigure jealousy into a zealous pursuit, wounds into a wisdom, and gift into a drive. And to speak further on basic education and literacy, I just wanted to add that, as an immigrant myself, I moved here when I was 11, and English was actually my third language. And like I mentioned, we moved here for me and my older brother and I to get a better education. So literacy and the movements, not only Rotary, but so many people are working towards, are so incredibly important. For example, when I moved here, the only thing I really knew was yes or no, but that was shaking my head. And in Bulgaria, shaking this way means no, and shaking that way means yes. So that alone was already taking me back. But having an amazing ESL teacher who really made me fall in love with reading, and she went through the steps of how complicated the English language itself can be, and it really opened up an immense amount of opportunities. I mean, I started volunteering at the library in middle school just so I could be around books and I could just immerse myself in them while also obviously helping shelve them and running programs. So it truly is, being literate and education movements are truly such an opening door to communicating with other people, communicating with your own family. I mean, text so important these days, and building a network that opens up a world of possibilities. Like my mom said, I love to quote her on this. She always told me that learning English particularly would open up so many possibilities, just because wherever I went in the world, it's such a universal language, and one of my passions is to travel. So being able to communicate all around and also work in different countries is something I'm looking forward to. So yeah, thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Sean Patty, the Assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 34. And I'll echo Jeremy's sentiment and say thank you for that most inspirational address. It's a great way to start off our month on education and literacy. That being said, I just want to remind everybody as well that you can join Dahlia and the rest of our speakers at the end of our meeting in breakout rooms, if anything. It's my pleasure to actually introduce Joan Littleford, who is a board member of the Basic Education and Literacy Rotary Action Group. Just a quick little note that over the course of Joan's career in elementary education, she spent many years as a consultant and curriculum writer in retirement. She's worked with groups such as UNICEF to develop kindergarten curricula and related documents for a number of countries, most notably in West Africa, the South Pacific, and Eastern Europe. And last but not least, for those who don't know, the Basic Education and Literacy Rotary Action Group and their board consist of a lot of persons and include persons who have a lot of professional expertise in education. So it's my pleasure to have and host Joan and her as a representative of the BELRAG group. Joan, over to you.
Thank you very much for the invitation today to talk about basic education and literacy. It's certainly a pleasure to follow Dolly and that, a recipient of great education. We know that many of you, many Rotarians have contributed to building schools for children around the world. That's not what we consider to be an education project. It's related, but we focus on what happens within the walls of the schools. So you'll remember that this area of focus was previously known as LitRag, Literacy Rotary Action Group, which represented Rotary's work in the area of literacy development only. And 2 years ago, we updated that to BELRAG, Basic Education and Literacy. So this allows us to focus on the educational needs of the whole person, child development, language and literacy skills, as well as STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it's been an exciting broadening of our work to help you to achieve success for young children, adolescents, and adults. All the information I'm going to be talking about today, you can find on our website, belrag.org. Very simple. We have members from our RAG from around the world. All members join for a nominal fee of $25 US. And we also now have club memberships available if that suits your club. We have a very diverse board of directors now. We are representing 10 different countries from around the world. And this helps us to understand educational needs in a much broader context. We plan a variety of opportunities for Rotarians to gain knowledge, to make connections, and to share their work with others. So on our website, belrag.org, you can find previous webinars that we've held, announcements for upcoming webinars, and we plan these to be relevant to the current needs of the global community. For example, during the pandemic, children's mental health was one of our webinars. And we aim to present 3 webinars a year with excellent speakers and panel discussions. I hope you'll join us on some of those. You'll find copies of past newsletters there. These are filled with ideas on how to develop strong education projects. And if you know of any projects that you'd like to share with others, please submit them to our chair, Carolyn Johnson, who I know would be happy to hear about other projects as well and perhaps put them in our newsletter. We submit 1 or 2 breakout sessions for the International Rotary Convention each year, and they've been very well received. I'm going to talk to you about the ones that we convened at the convention in Houston, where our overarching topic was using technology for education. That was a very relevant topic when so many children from around the world have been learning online for the past 2 years, and many still are. We had 4 Rotarians speak about their projects. So one was a computer lab in a school in Panama that was fully equipped by Rotary, and the teachers were then trained in maximizing their knowledge of both the hardware and the software. We had a presentation on a massive project developed by RILM, the Rotary India Literacy Mission, in which students could, during the pandemic, could access their full curriculum through computers or over dedicated television channels, and that was a Rotary project. An Ethiopian Rotary project sponsored a complex TV-style program similar to Sesame Street, and this was broadcast to help young children in Ethiopia to develop language, personal and social skills, as well as some basic academic skills. And that project was up for one of the Program of Scale Awards. And finally, the Be Reading program was represented there. This project allows free access to a fully developed online literacy program from kindergarten to grade 6. It's very similar to ABC Mouse. It's supported by a charitable arm, so access to the site can be offered free to families to supplement children's learning. So if you're interested in that, we can get you information. Currently, we're in the process of choosing our submission topic or topics for the convention in Australia. So we hope to see you at our session, and most certainly at our very busy booth in the House of Friendship. We saw so many people at the last convention. On our website, you'll also find information on our annual literacy awards. During the month of September, we invite clubs or districts to submit information about their education projects. We have an international team of evaluators and a detailed rubric that guides our evaluation. And of course, the rubric can be used and should be used by clubs to determine what we consider to be a strong education project. So this year we have 3 Rotary clubs who will receive a grant of $500, and 1 Rotaract club will also receive $500. And this money, we hope, will help them to build upon their projects. Last year was our first year of providing a dedicated Rotaract award, and the funds went to the Rotaract Reading Room project submitted by the Rotaract Club of South Barbados in Bridgetown, Barbados. We also have a variety of projects submitted, which have all been designed to meet the specific needs of a community. Outlines of these projects have been published in our newsletters, so they are available for you to read and adapt for the needs of your communities. And we want to find out what you're doing and be able to share that with others. So please reach out to us for professional support, for help in developing your project, or even for writing grants. We want to share our knowledge and experience to ensure that we're all making a substantial difference to others when we engage in our literacy projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. That was a great presentation about the good work of your RAG group and your partners. My name is Marcy Ullum, and I am pleased to be able to introduce Thandeka TuTuDesk. I've been working on that, and I don't think I got it, but close, Tandy. Thandeka is the CEO of the Desmond Tutu Desk Campaign Center, which addresses the drastic shortage of desks in sub-Saharan Africa. Their focus is to provide 20 million of these desks, which are portable, environmentally friendly, 100% recyclable, and very affordable for individuals or club projects. These will positively change the lives of African children, their communities and countries, and make Africa a more globally competitive continent through improved literacy and education. Thandi is an educated global citizen, being educated and working in both the UK and in the UK, Swaziland, Botswana, and the US. She received an MPH at Emory University, focusing on public health and education, and those are areas that she is absolutely passionate about. She spent a great deal of her life working in clinical research, both in the USA and in South Africa. And as you can tell, not only here, but if you have signed up for the Baltimore Summit, you are going to have an opportunity to hear even more from Thandeka and the great work that she is doing. In 2018, she was named one of the 100 global real leaders by Real Leaders magazine, and a social impact heroine by Authority magazine in 2020. And as Jeremy had indicated earlier, she is the eldest daughter of Archbishop Desmond Tutu. She and her husband reside in Cape Town, South Africa, and they have 1 son. Please give Thandi a warm Rotary welcome.
Oh, I'm unmuted, right? Okay, thank you. So, thank you, Marcy, for that very nice introduction. But just can I make one correction? You are right, I am the eldest daughter, but I always tell people that, you know, when we don't worry about age now, and so I'm the nicest daughter. I think that's the adjective I'd prefer to go with. So just a short history on the TuTuDesk project. It actually started out as lap desk, and the lap desk was an invention by what I call a social entrepreneur called Shane Immelman, who saw the need to break the kind of infrastructure problem that is so prevalent on the continent. And he came up with lap desk. Fast forward a few years later, he met up with my dad, who was enamored of the program and with whom it resonated, because those conditions of poor infrastructure, no desks, crumbling schools are really part of what happened, well, are really how he grew up. And so he was mortified, I guess, that 80 years later, school children on our continent are still going to school and having the same problems of no desks. And so lab desk became TuTuDesk. And as Marcia said, the problem is that on our continent, 95 million children go to school without the benefit of a desk. It's actually not just an African problem. Globally, the numbers are about 500 million. And so we take pride in that the TuTuDesk is an African solution to a global problem. And the issue at hand is that if children go to school and don't have a solid surface when they are learning to read and to write, that is a problem. And so these children never fully develop that skill, that writing skill. I mean, you yourselves as adults know that if you are trying to write on your lap and you don't have a solid surface, the writing that comes out of whatever you're trying to write is kind of squiggly and probably illegible. And so that's the same issue with our children. So if they don't have that solid surface, they never fully develop that writing skill. And if you consider being literate, the ability to read and to write, if you don't have the right portion of that equation, then you are by definition semi-literate. And so if our continent is churning out children at the end of their school years who are semi-literate, that's a problem. It's a major problem for the child and their ability to be fully educated and take part economically and provide for themselves and their families. It becomes a problem for our cities and towns and our communities. It becomes a problem for the country that the child is in. And then finally, it becomes a problem for not only the continent, but the world. And so currently we've given out almost 2 million of these TuTuDesks in about 25 African countries. And as Marcy said, our goal is to at least provide 20 million of these desks. And I just want to show you what a TuTuDesk looks like. It's just a plastic, it is environmental friendly, piece of plastic, light, because the school children to whom it is a TuTuDesk is given use the desks at home and at school. And our children walk long distances to school. And so this needs to be light for them to be able to carry it to home and school. If you are in a school that has no desk, very likely the home that you live in, it doesn't have somewhere for you to do your homework. And so the TuTuDesk is our African solution. We're currently in a project with Rotary. Many of you know that Rotary turned 100 on the African continent. And one of the projects that is being developed is one between Rotary and the TuTuDesk. And my plea is for you to be in Baltimore so that you can learn more about us and about our Rotary partnership. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's amazing and such an impact. I would like to thank you for that and let y'all all know, again, if you haven't caught on, that she will be in Baltimore. Whether I dare not touch oldest or youngest, but I will say probably the only one that will be in Baltimore of the daughters. So let's just be safe with that. And I will tell you that you can get your hands on those desks in Baltimore. Thank you so much. So now my privilege to introduce Chuck Davidson, Zone 33 EndPolioNow coordinator, with an update for us. Chuck, the microphone is all yours.
Thank you very much, Alex. Appreciate it. I want to take just a minute or two to update you on what's going on with polio in this country, in the United States, specifically in New York State. I think most people know that in July, we had the first paralyzation of an individual due to polio since 2013 in the United States. And it turned out to be a case that was derived from the vaccine. And in the parlance of the World Health Organization, that means that someone had received the oral polio vaccine, which is a weakened virus in that vaccine, which after it passes through the digestive systems of several individuals and in an area of poor sanitation, in rare cases can mutate into a situation that is just as virulent as if it were a case out of the wild. And the last polio case out of the wild in the United States was in 1979. A key point right now is that if this was a vaccine-derived case, which it is, then it must have not have come from within the United States, because the U.S. has not used the oral polio vaccine in over 20 years in the United States. This has to be an imported case from another country. And in fact, we are able to trace the genetic sequencing of this virus and whoever it is that gets it simply by looking at the specifics of it, and we can tell exactly where it comes from. This did not come from the United States. It came from an orally vaccinated individual somewhere else in the world. It was imported based on the genetics. Let's get down to the specifics if we can just for a second or two. The victim in New York State in Rockland County was unvaccinated. He was an unvaccinated individual in a county where the vaccination rate is only 60% versus the 92%, which occurs throughout the United States, although it's somewhat less in New York State, where it's only 79%, because it's pulled down that percentage, that vaccination rate, by the fact that there are so few people that are vaccinated in counties like Rockland County. In fact, there are some zip codes within Rockland County where the vaccination rate against polio is only 37%. This individual, a male, 20-year-old, unvaccinated, had not traveled internationally. So obviously he was infected by someone who came into this country carrying the disease. We know now also this virus has been found in counties that surround Rockland County, for example, in Orange County and Sullivan counties, which are just northwest of Orange County, and most recently in Nassau County, which is on Long Island, also close to New York City. And we have found the polio virus with the same disease characteristics, the same genetic sequencing as this poor individual in Rockland County has got. And we know, therefore, that all of these cases which are in the wastewater, not the drinking water, but the wastewater of these counties and in New York City, are in fact items which have passed through the waste system, the sewage system. A point here I think I would make practically in closing is that all US-born children receive polio shots unless the parents opt out. And these are the shots, the dead vaccination virus, the Salk vaccine, from which no cases of polio that would be caused by vaccine-derived could have come whatsoever. And I think in closing, I would simply say that this is a great example of what we've been saying for years, and that is that polio is only one international plane ride away. And in fact, a corollary of that is polio anywhere is a threat everywhere. All I can do is say this is a great reason why everybody needs to be vaccinated against polio. Thank you very much for your attention. I would like to now pass the microphone on to the Mike Dara, who is the Rotary Coordinator in Zone 34. Mike, it's all yours.
Thanks, Chuck. The membership action plan is rolling. As you probably remember from our previous Zoomformation calls, the membership action plan, or MAP as we call it, uses monthly webinars to offer clubs some important best practices in bite-sized chunks. The calls are on the second Monday of each month. On July 11th, we gave you an introduction. On August 8th, we gave 3 simple ways to build a list of good potential members. Tonight, we'll talk about sitting down with prospects to help them understand what Rotary is and do that before they join. We want Rotarians who are passionate and who want to jump in with both feet. Talking to them in advance is the best way to guarantee they don't have that buyer's remorse. It's that feeling you get when you bought something that you now wish maybe you'd researched a little better. We'll show you what you need to make sure that each one of these potential members gets the full benefits of Rotary, along with the financial and other responsibilities. Going forward, our October topic will be onboarding new members in a way that those new members experience the 2 biggest benefits of Rotary: connecting to a great network of people and the ability to do service that's fun and meaningful to them. The following bite-sized chunks will cover topics like surveying existing members so you know what they want, and finding ways to engage your members. To register for webinars, or watch prior webinars, or just to get information, go to our Zones website. You can see it there, and I'll put it in the chat. That will allow you to both register, see those prior webinars, and to get FAQs and other things. Thank you. See you tonight at 5 p.m. Eastern. And now, let me introduce our Rotary Public Image Coordinator, Marshall Butler.
So if any of you were in Naples, you may remember the social wall. And it was where we were able to share posts about the great time that we were having in Naples. Well, we're going to be doing that again in Baltimore. And so what you need to do is go ahead and start using the hashtag #BeMoreRotary. I'm going to drop that into the chat here. And also, you can share to Instagram, you can share to Facebook, you can share to Twitter. But if you would prefer, we also have developed a website that you can go directly to and share posts on the BeMoreRotary.org website. So be sure to share all the great times that we're having in Baltimore and put it up there so we can have a good time. With that, when I was on mute, apparently, I was telling you that I am working hard getting ready the production for Baltimore. And I think I had smoke coming out of my machine because I couldn't share slides. So too much work. But I do want to tell you about a couple of great events that are coming up in the next month from the Zone 33 and Zone 34 public image teams. On September 26th, the Zone 34 public image team is going to have the Great Events webinar. So a lot of the things that you see the Zone 34 team do in terms of publicizing webinars, promoting webinars, producing webinars, we'll be reviewing that. So if you go to elevaterotary.org, you can register for that webinar. The following month, we're going to have one called How the Heck Do You Do That? Again, we're going to pull the curtains back on the Zone 34 public image team and show how we do a lot of the things that we do with social media and technology. That's going to be on October 24th at 6 p.m. And then wrapping up on October 25th, so the very next day, the Zone 33 team is going to be putting together a webinar called Creating a Service Projects Plan. So if you want to put together a plan to do service projects, our pick, Billy Black, and her team have put together a great webinar on October 25th. So with that, I think my time is up, and I will hand it back off to you, Alex.
Thanks, Marshall, very much. Appreciate it. That concludes the formal portion today, but I want to just take a moment and be quiet and let y'all read through what's coming up on our calendars and ask you to add these to your calendars. And although you may not have been able to scan through all of them just yet, I do want to point out, second to the bottom, the post-Baltimore Summit breakout webinars. for the first time ever, and Director Jeremy is cutting new ground everywhere we go for the Baltimore Summit. This is another new initiative that he's created that will allow us to have breakout sessions after Baltimore is technically completed and we've gone back home. So we'll have four breakouts, the 11th, the 11th, the 13th, the 17th, and the 19th, all in October, all at 6 p.m. We'll send out and post everywhere we can possibly do it on the websites and all the calendars and Dactyby that we can get to, and every other venue that we can push it to you, the opportunity to join these post-Baltimore Summit breakouts that, as you can see on the calendar here, will touch on empowering girls, human trafficking, the environment, and DEI. Please don't miss these opportunities to continue our joint education so that we can better serve our Rotarians. Now, let me change gears ever so slightly and allow you and tell you that the next step is going to be joining one of these 5 breakout sessions, if you wish. The formal portion is done, so if you have to run back to work, we completely understand that. However, in just a moment, you'll be afforded an opportunity to join into one of these 5 breakout rooms where you can speak to those speakers that just did their presentations for us. This will allow all of us to get some one-on-one or at least small group discussions with these individuals. For the director, I appreciate your time and your opportunity to join with us. And that's all, folks. Let me see if I can send you to some rooms.
Thank you very much for attending today and enjoy the breakout room.
Thanks very much, everyone. Have a great week.